This is my camper, built about 4 years ago. I'm recording this because I never made a full version of the finished camper. I just put it in pieces on the cargo trailer conversion site. So this is it, what there is of it anyway. This is the camper. It's made by Proline. It's completely aluminum, and they do a pretty good job. I think it's very, very nice. What I had done on it was I had this awning put on. We just had a huge storm, and I have it tilted to one side to let the water off. I mean, it was a horrible downpour for about almost an hour. The wheels are a little extra that I had them put on because they'll make this any way you want to. I also had a door that is a camper door instead of the usual door that has a latch on it like a cargo trailer, and the small step down there so we can get in and out easily. It came with a spare tire, but I didn't want to put the tire underneath the camper because I thought I'd hit it. I didn't want to put it in the camper because we needed the room, and I didn't want to just have to put it in the truck all the time. So what I did is I welded up this mount for it and mounted it on here and bought a cover for it, and it works pretty good up front. The thing that you see stuck into a pipe that I welded on there is the antenna. And this antenna, let's see the whole thing here, is a regular household antenna for TV, and it is connected on the other side, which I'll show you in a moment, and it gets stations just as if you were at home, as long as you're in a place where there are television stations. The other antenna, which is located right there, is an antenna for wireless internet. It'll pick up several hundred feet away a wireless signal, like at a campground site or any other place. It's supposed to be good for a quarter of a mile, but I think maybe 500 feet is what I've seen as the limit. There's a little latch there for it to slide up. Right now, it's in its traveling position. There's the Proline logo. Here we are at the rear of the camper. As you can see, I've got these cargo doors that open up with two doors from side to side. You can also get the fold-down ramp if you have four-wheel vehicles or motorcycles or snowmobiles. But this is a camper. We're not putting any of those things in there. And when you open it up, if you can see in there or not. There's the inside of the camper, and we'll go inside in a moment, but that is a screen, a large screen. It's permanently made on the back of the camper, so you can't go in and out through these doors. You can just open them. Down below is a vinyl cover with Velcro so that you can put this up or put it down when you travel, and we keep our two camping chairs under there. Table, the cords, there's our camping run, which I didn't put out because we did have all that rain, and a bunch of other stuff stuck into there. This is underneath the bed. So this is the whole, pretty much the whole, half the bed. There's some drawers under there too. Continuing around the side of the camper, these are my electrical connections. The top one is a coax cable, and it's a snap-on one for the TV. The bottom one is plugged in now, charges the battery and runs everything else, like the microwave oven and the plugs to plug something in. The top one is specifically designated for the electric heater and the air conditioner. And I have two cables that I plug into the campground site, and I keep it completely the 20 amp or the 15 or 20 amp circuits, so that I don't have to worry about having the large connector for them for the 30 or 50 amp. and I plug one or the other in, and as I need them. Right now we don't need the heat. It's plenty warm, so that's not even plugged in, but the rest of the camper is powered as a result. We're going into the camper now. This is the screen door that we had put on as an accessory that they sell. And let's go inside here. And there is my wife, Joyce. Say hi, Joyce.
Hi.
And let's see here. I'll go sit on the bed. A little bit, Joyce. Thanks. Our camping philosophy, which is different for everybody, is that we started camping with a tent, and then moved up to a trailer that was a teardrop, a little guy, which is very, very low. And from the tent, the goal was to get off the ground and into a real bed and out of the rain. Then, later on, the teardrop was good, and we had a TV, we had a bed in there. As a matter of fact, we actually had this bed in there. We get to the point where we get a little tired of getting dressed on our backs in bed, where we couldn't stand up. I did have a small tent outside, but that was difficult to set up all the time, because sometimes we camp for a few days in a row, but most of the time we travel from one day to the next. We've been all over the country. We've been to, I'll show you in a second on the map, almost every state, and toured it and seen all kinds of things. It's been great for the last few years. So this was the result of that. Now, one thing that we like, of course, we still like the bed. We don't need water in a kitchen. We don't need a bathroom. Wherever we go, we seem to find that, and we stay mostly in state parks or municipal parks, which sometimes are wonderful, that they have really good bathrooms, to excellent bathrooms, and the showers too. Sometimes they're not so great, but that's fine with us. So we decided to not have to deal with all of the water and the bathrooms and the pumps and the winterizing and everything by not doing that. We also don't have a kitchen, because we still like to camp. We have a picnic table outside, we have a stove, we have a barbecue grill, the whole bit. So we don't want to sit in here and cook. And of course we have limited space. We'd rather have the option of the space rather than having the whole thing taken up by this stuff. So we're still sort of camping, tent camping a little bit, but we have a few more amenities as a result. Let's take a look at those. First of all, we have the bed. The bed is a captain's bed. It has an 8-inch foam mattress in it, thermal foam mattresses. And I had to cut about 4 inches off the end to get it to fit in here, but it's okay, we're not that tall, so it doesn't make any difference. It's made of maple. Underneath here is space for 2 drawers, and the back half is the area underneath the bed that I showed you in the back, where we store the chairs and a whole bunch of other stuff. This drawer is my wife's drawer for her clothes, and the other one is mine. What we do is we have an extended cab truck, so that when we're traveling, we each have a basket on the back seat that is for each of us, hers on her side, mine on my side, and we put winter clothes or anything else we think we might need, extra shoes and so forth. So this just has the stuff we dress in on a regular basis. If we should travel and the climate should change a lot, we just switch out clothes appropriately, warmer clothes or cooler clothes. Right now it's the cool clothes. We've hit some 80, 85 degree weather in May, coming down from Maine, where it was hard to hit 60. And usually around 40 or 50 this time right now. We knew it would be that way. So that's the bed. And the bed, of course, opens to the large window out there. And the window has a drape with a crank over there. So when I'm in bed, I can just crank it, and it goes down. And even though it still lets a little light through, from the outside, it's a lot of privacy. You really can't see anything, which is what we need, because sometimes we like to leave this open. And what happens, you might say, if it should rain? Does it rain in here? Yes, it does. I don't have it set up now, but right here, this red thing that you see is a canopy. It's folded up in half now, and you can see that there's some, you can see behind the broom, that there's a square metal rod here. This canopy opens up and sets up out back in a rain gutter that's over the top of the camper, and then those two metal rods come in on two pins like this, and it makes a really nice canopy. Sewn up by my sister, and the rest of it was made by me. And if we're going to sit for a while, I'll put that up. Usually I don't, I just leave it over here, because it lets us open up and have more air, and keeps the rain, off the bed if it should rain at night. Sometimes you just leave that open at night. It's really nice. Okay, also back here we have a TV. The TV is a Naxa. It's one of the 2 or 3 brands that are usually used by truckers. It's not a smart TV, but it works really quite well. It's been in there 3 or 4 years now. It's been bouncing around back here, so it's not a problem. And this little blue thing on the wall right over here is a device that plugs in with an HDMI port into the television, and I can put an SD card in there or a USB drive in the bottom. I can plug it in, and we load movies onto it, and I download TV shows, seasons from Netflix, that's so forth and so on, and it makes it act like a smart TV. So it comes up on the screen, lets you choose things, and it really works quite well. The stuff up top, the connections for the audio, connections for the antenna outside, and power connections. Sound, the TV doesn't have great sound, as most small televisions don't. So down here, I have a small speaker system that is now in charge mode, and the connectors on the back are for power and connecting it to the television. Little box here to put flashlights and so on. USB ports down here for charging, iPads and so forth. New this year, back to that first trip out with it, is this cupboard, and it's also maple, and it flips up with a little hydraulic cylinder over on the side. We needed a place to better put our staples, cereals and soups and pickles and what have you. So we have this up here, and also new this year is a table. We used to just put a small patio table in here. But Joyce, want to hold this? This has 2 clips that the table folds down, and then it folds back up and snaps shut, and it's really sturdy. It's very easy to put up and down. It's made of maple plywood with a maple edge on it. Okay, moving right down over here is a small cabinet, and in that cabinet, it was made specifically for gas bottles and Coleman stove. I slip this out, bring it outside, cook, put it right back in. Water. Remember I told you we don't bother with camping, a camper with a sink and so forth. Well, we used to have a big water jug with a faucet on it that I used to fill, and I realized that I wasn't using much of it from day-to-day basis. So our water is an ocean spray bottle, hard plastic, large opening, handle, 1 gallon, pretty much all you need for a good part of the day for cooking, cleaning up your dishes when you're done, and drinking. Go fill it up at the spigot, wherever that is in the campground, and that's it. You just narrowed it down to this because it was the easiest thing to do. Okay, let's move over here to the kitchen, I suppose you'd say. Okay, down here we have a drawer that holds a lot of our kitchen stuff and a bunch of other stuff too. It's a tricky drawer because it's formed at an angle, so the sliders have to be mounted underneath, and it's pretty interesting to make. Here we have cabinet doors with that same V-shaped inside for pots and pans, and again a whole bunch of other stuff. Countertop And on the countertop, we have a little rack that's screwed down that holds our, let me put a little light on here. There we go. That holds our coffee pot and a few other things. We have a microwave oven. And we have our little dish rack. Now, we don't use paper plates and plastic forks and so forth. We find that for my wife and I, we each have a plate, we each have a bowl, we have a knife, spoon, and fork. This is where our travel cups go, but those are sitting in the cup holders in the truck right now. And we use those for drinking in here also. We find that we try not to cook with things that have like tomato sauce and cheeses and so forth, and we're able to just sort of like wash the plates by getting a little dish pan out, or sometimes just rinsing them off really good and wiping them really well. Makes life easier. We also have a paper towel roll for those of you who travel. You can hear it ratchets. It doesn't unroll on its own while you're traveling. See the paper towel all over the floor. This is an indoor-outdoor thermometer. It's really big and has an alarm on it and tells the time and the day and so forth. The counterpart to it, the transmitter for it that gives you the outside temperature, is wired to the back of the wheel on the front of the camper, the spare tire. Indoor, outdoor temperature. Speaking of temperature, we have up here, not a fantastic fan, but a max fan, which is really kind of neat because with that remote control right there, you can turn it on and off, it'll start itself, you can vary the speed of it, all kinds of stuff, in or out, whether it's blowing the air in or out. Very convenient, very nice, opens and closes on its own. Great little fan. 2 switches, inside lights, outside light. Up here, not important, but I'll show it to you, is my baseball bat. Never had to use it, don't think I ever will. Never been accosted, never been insulted. Well, I've been insulted, but in the campground I never had a need for anything like this. And of course I wouldn't want to bring a baseball bat to a knife fight or a gun fight either, but it's there more as decoration. It's a little 29-incher that we had in the family. I made a little holder for it, and it just slides out if I should ever need it, which I never will. It also holds my hat sometime. Now up here, this is a cupboard, but not for storing much. We have a few DVDs up here in case we need them or something. But up here, let's see, is my electrical area. That's better. 2 circuit breakers. One for the air conditioning and heater, one for all of the electrical stuff. This green thing back here is a marine battery charger. It charges the battery, which is located down behind here on the floor. There's a little divider wall, and there's a 100 amp GM battery down there. Really love it. It works great. AGM battery, rather. This is a little control panel. Nothing much. It shows the battery voltage, USB ports, because it came with a little switch turning on and off, and another like a cigarette lighter sort of thing. And there's the battery switch, and those are the fuses for various areas of the trailer. There's also a bus fuse on the battery, a large one, of course, that is definitely needed. For heat, let me turn this light back on now. Thermostat, right down there. The regular house thermostat is an old Singer I had kicking around. It works great. Where is the heat? Right down there on the floor, behind my coat. Right here. That's a 1,000-watt electric heater. It's 110, so I don't have to have 224. It works on the regular current that I'm plugging it into at the campground. On the heater, on that end of it right there, is a little toggle switch. On means the heater works with that thermostat. Off means the air conditioner works with that thermostat. And the air conditioner that I used to have, and I still do have, is a little bedroom air conditioner that I used to plumb up in here to work. But we are now getting gifted by my daughter an older indoor thermostat, indoor air conditioner rather, the type that stands up in the house, and then you stick the hose in the window. They actually work pretty good. In this small area, it'll be overkill, of course. I like it because it's not too big, and I do have a place on the floor right there that pops off, and that's where the hose will be going, so I don't have to put it up in the window. I can put it right there. Okay, what else? Aha, there's our map with a bunch of magnets on it. We have a lot more than that. That'll only hold so many. We tend to pick one of those up when we're someplace of significance, because they're the least expensive thing to get when you're visiting dozens and dozens of places. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to afford them. Okay, moving down to the floor. The floor is not insulated. The rest of the camper is. I'll talk about that in a second. What I did was I just took the floor that they gave us, and I put some porch and deck latex on it. I could tile it. I still could. I think about it once in a while, but this cleans up so good, and it works really good with mud and campsites and all that stuff. I also have a Native American motif sort of rug, which adds a little accent to the floor and gives it something a little soft to walk on. It's made for rough use, so I take it out and hose it down once in a while, or just shake it out, and it works really quite well. As far as the insulation, is concerned, this camper came with this white kind of textured board on it, and the people who made the camper from Line Pro in New Hampshire were kind enough to leave almost all the screws out for me, but mark them with little black dots where they would go. So I was able to easily take all of this down and put the pink foam insulation, the 1-inch insulation, all over the walls and the ceiling, and then put all the board back up, and we have an insulated camper. Now the floor's not insulated because I'm not really interested in insulating for heat. As far as the camper is concerned, heat isn't an issue, particularly with that electric heater. It'll heat up if there was no insulation at all really well, very quickly. And we don't do a whole lot of really cold weather camping anyway. It's really meant to keep the heat out, so I'm insulating for the heat, because we are in some warm areas sometimes. So the sides and the top of the camper are insulated for that reason. The camper itself, particularly the top, is very light colored, so hopefully that'll reflect. And this is our large map. It's enclosed in plastic, and it's mounted on hardboard and then put on the wall. And I don't know if you can see there, but we have dots of various colors all over it in every state except North Dakota, because we have been to South Dakota, and we realized we did not need to go to North Dakota. We've been really all over, and we've toured a lot of different places. This camper alone has had 22,000 miles put on it, and the other camper we put almost as many. So we've been a lot of places, and sometimes more than once. And we plan on going a lot more. So that's about it. I'm sure I left some things out, but thank you for watching, and if anybody is going to make something like this, maybe it'll give you some ideas. It's not all inclusive, but it works for us, and I hope yours will work for you should you ever have one someday.